A Nigerian lady had to run for her life in the UK with her children because of the husband's maltreatment. After coming to Nigeria to get married to this woman, he, being a citizen of the United Kingdom, decided to take his wife along. They did all the necessary marriage rites and they moved into the UK. And every time they walked outside, he was a kind person. He looked kind in the outside, where he would carry her bag, do all of those good stuff. And people were like, oh, your husband is the best husband. But inside, she was dying. As the man kept maltreating her in the house, and the first thing he had told her to do immediately he brought her to the UK was to read all the piled up magazines, or let's say newspapers piled up somewhere. And she was like, why would she have to read that? And he said she should read it to get acquainted with the way the United Kingdom worked. And she didn't have that because she never wanted to read the books or newspapers. But this man, and while they were to change a house, because that place was little too small for them to live as a couple, so they were moving houses, and then they had to pack the truck of all of those things and trashed it, and she didn't end up reading it. But this guy on a daily basis maltreated her to the point he started beating her. There was a time he had to beat her for 6 hours, and it was becoming so bad. And along the line, she lost her mother as the only child, and the husband never allowed her to go. And the husband refused to allow her work for any reason. For a man who had grown up, or let's say basically lived outside the country because he's a citizen of the United Kingdom, and he can raise his hand on another woman, then that says a lot about that guy. It's not just about him being Nigerian, for the fact that he had lived all his life outside Nigeria. That shows that it's not a Nigerian thing. He must have learned that from someone else or somewhere else, not Nigeria, because he practically didn't live in Nigeria, and he had a dual citizenship. Now, his citizenship was the fact that being Nigerian was the fact that his father is Nigerian, but where did he grow up for? He grew up in the UK. That's where he grew up. So he kept doing this on and off until the fact that the point where he refused to allow the wife work. He saw that she was naive. She didn't know anything happening in the country where they've just relocated her to. And people were thinking, oh, after she got married, the guy is taking her abroad. And before the third week, she had gotten a visa. Everything was fine. He did everything for her. It was smooth. They had done their court wedding in Nigeria, and she was good to go. But what people didn't understand was the aftermath of everything, that she got beaten at every slightest provocation. She got insulted, disregarded, a lot of things happened to her. But people thought she was enjoying. And after her first pregnancy, she had bleeding, something happened to her, and then she was rushed back to the hospital by the same husband of hers. On getting to the hospital, this guy did not stay with her. He got about his business with his girlfriends, and he continued frolicking around while with the pain of the surgery, she had to attend to a little baby with all the plasters she had on her hand. No help. This guy only sends about 30,000 naira, which is not up to $30. Let's say that will be around the current rate now. It will be around, let's say, maybe $15. What she was sending to the mother of this girl. And when the mother of this girl died, this man did nothing. She had to beg people for money, or rather took a little loan from people to be able to buy casket to bury the mother. And this goes to show that when people go through stuff and they tell you their stories, you begin to wonder, did this really happen? Are you sure this happened, or is just one fiction somewhere that somebody is talking about? It happened to her in London, of all places, in a system that works. One will say, oh, if they're in Nigeria, they'll say, oh, it's because they're in Nigeria, that is why this thing happened. If they were outside the country, it wouldn't have happened. But this thing happened. He never beat her in Nigeria, but in London, where the system works, he beats her up for 6 good hours. Okay, Now, she had gotten a lot of signs to leave, but she never lived, and then asked God to give her the one more sign for her to leave. And then the son, one morning, she was preparing the son. She had two sons at this time. The 4-year-old told her that she should pack her things, pack, take her, take him, and his brother, and let them leave their father alone. And then she saw that that was a good idea. The husband had gone on night shift, came back, and he was sleeping. As God will have it, he went into a deep sleep, and she was moving things to her neighbor's house, kept the children with the neighbor, took the things to a place, her friend's place, where she had asked earlier if she could bring some of her things to keep. And she took those things there. The friends kept them, and she went upstairs with the neighbors, some of the help of the neighbors. She had hinted about what has been going on, took the children. The man came upstairs, helped her, packed some of the things, and the luggage was just making some sound. The suitcases were making some sound, but the man was deep asleep. Took all those things, and then before she knew it, she brought in the children, and then she saw some elderly men and women walk into the apartment. Well, while she sat with the children, and they did not notice anything was fishy. And then the people came and said that they came to see her, that they heard this, that, and at that time she had already served the man the divorce papers, and they've served him the divorce paper. And he thought it was a normal thing. After everything, she was going to let it go. She's not going to take it seriously. A narcissist is somebody who can do anything and feel that he will come back to you and you take it. At this point, she had stopped taking gifts or even smiling or greeting him, so that she could detach from him emotionally. So when this elderly guest came in, they spoke to her, and she told them, well, before they start talking, let her tell them 5 things only this guy had done to her, to see if they could take it. Number one, the mother died. She couldn't go as the only child, and this guy only sent 30,000 at that time to the mother, and never allowed her to work even when she got a job on the platter of gold. And then the next thing, he beat her for 6 hours. They were shouting. They even started crying. She said, no, they should not stop. They should not start crying, because she has not even started. Then at the point where he left her in the hospital, went to frolic around with his girlfriend, and she was tending to a little baby and herself, taking care of themselves in the hospital, that he brought them together. And then these people cried and left. At the time they were leaving, this guy was coming from downstairs and was saying, why are they leaving? That they should hold on. Why are they leaving? And they said, no, this is not something they can settle. They left. And she was saying that it's good they left, because if they had said anything further to her, trying to see if they could hear from his side of the story, she would have walked out on them. Now, the story here is that he had said she should stop greeting people. So when these people walked in, they greeted her, she didn't answer. But out of good upbringing, she just started to answer them, to oblige them, and then told them this side of a little of what she had been through. And then she prepared the son. On this happened on a Sunday. The next Monday, she prepared as though she was taking the children to school, and she took the children and went to the refugee home where she stayed while the divorce was going on. So she took them to the refugee home. But something that made me do this video is the person that dropped on the comment section and said, that the woman is lying, that all these things she's saying is a lie, that let them bring the man to come and talk his own part. It grieves my heart to see that there are people who do not have empathy. They don't have anything, humanity in them. You are seeing a woman telling her story of what happened to her. You are now asking that they should go and bring the man to come and say his own story. Oh, so you mean that? Let me tell you, there are some people who are very wicked. They can be hurting you and they don't know they are hurting you. These people can be hurting you and you are telling them you're hurting me, and they cannot take that like, oh, they truly hurt you. So why do you need another person? No wonder a lot of abuse victims do not leave. They don't leave their abusers because nobody will believe them. Just recently, I heard of a lady who had shouted and screamed that, oh, this man is abusing her, this man is abusing her. And all of a sudden, she leaves. And then the people are saying, oh, why did she leave? Because the man is now retired. He doesn't have money. That's why she's leaving. Why do you want people to lose their lives in marriages that they should have left? Marriages that they should have left. We have had cases where women stayed in bad marriages. So if you're in a bad marriage watching this, leave and leave. Leave and stay alive. Honestly, leave.